What's going on, guys? It's the 75th edition of the Chronicles of Podcast. After a week off, we hope that, we hope you've missed us. If you haven't, it's fine, I understand. But we're back. And I believe, Jamie, that these right here
are
the Chronicles of Beyond Extinction.
Oh yeah, they are, boys.
Wonderful. Well, let's get started.
Hey, honey bunny, it's Rivka Reyes.
This is Ron Wasserman, the nut that wrote Go-Go Power Rangers.
It's Boba Fett here.
This is Molly Rennick from Living Dead Girl.
It's WWE superstar legend Davey Boy Smith's daughter, Georgia Smith.
Hi, I'm Jude. I play guitar.
Hi, my name is Zach.
Hi, I'm Niall. I play drums in Beyond Extinction.
And you're what?
Chronicles of Podcast
with Tom and Jamie.
Here's a guitar. Crack on. Go on, if you're so fucking, if you obviously know what you're talking about, have a bash. Come on. Obviously write a better bright than me. Go for it.
Joining us are Zach Scott, Jude Bennett, and Niall Ali, because these are the Chronicles of Beyond Extinction.
We should definitely bring that piece in, though.
Oh, yes, we definitely should.
Welcome to the Chronicles of Beyond Extinction. Fate of the fear that surrenders, the mark of deliverance, angels shouts of the Creator, that vengeance upon you.
Beyond Extinction are a 4-piece deathcore band from the most metal of places, Essex. We are joined by the incredible Beyond Extinction. We are joined by Jude Bennett, Zach Scott, and Niall Ali. This is a fantastic conversation. These guys are so fucking young, and they are about to release their brand new EP, Nothing More Wretched. It's coming out on 17th of March. We sit and talk to the guys all about the new EP, and it's phenomenal. Like I said, these guys are really young. I'm pretty certain in this, Zach says he's celebrating his 19th birthday. Or was it 20th birthday?
It's something mental, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact they've achieved what they are doing right now, the accolades they're getting, the responses they're getting is absolutely amazing. You might not like deathcore music. Let's be honest, it's not everybody's cup of tea, as they say. But you have to admire these guys for the passion they have for their music, the dedication they put into it. And the fact that they say in this interview, when they first started, they were shit, but they did not give up. And they got as good as they can to the point they're touring, they're playing Bloodstock, they're playing with bands like Cancer Bats. And yeah, this is incredible. You are going to enjoy this one, boys and girls.
Yeah, their brand new single, which is the title of the EP, Nothing More Wretched, came out Friday, so make sure you go and check that out. And enjoy this interview. Jamie!
Yes, sir.
Do you have any final words at all?
Just a massive thank you to the three boys for joining us, and a massive thank you to our friend Jasmine at the Noise Cartel for setting this one up for us. Absolutely.
Boys, we've had such a great time talking to you. We're so excited to release this. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week, it's Beyond Extinction now. Here we go, boys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to come and sit with us. We appreciate it massively. So basically, how this works is Jamie's going to do like a really nice introduction. So he's going to lure you into a false sense of security where he's like, this is actually quite a safe space. I quite like it here. And then what's going to happen is we're going to absolutely bombard the living fuck out of you with questions. How does that sound?
I like that.
Perfect.
Yes.
I'm not sweating in an interview. It's not intense enough.
Noted. Not sweating enough. Okay. But you're welcome to swear, say what you like. Just obviously don't praise the Nazis or anything like that. As long as we're all good.
Oh, you missed out Taylor Swift. You know we say Nazis or Taylor Swift.
I'll give her a break for a week. So yeah, wonderful. If we're all great, Jamie, you can get us started.
I shall do. Ladies and gentlemen, when you think of Essex, you think of things like Towie, Jamie Oliver, or even its really long coastline. What you don't think is the future of deathcore. Today, we are joined by three incredibly talented musicians from a band that have been described as death metal of the highest order. Now, that's an accolade right there. Here to talk more about their brand new EP, Nothing More Wretched, which releases on the 17th of March. Joining us are Zach Scott, Jude Bennett, and Niall Ali, because these are the Chronicles of Beyond Extinction.
Hey.
Hello, good evening.
I love it. Such enthusiasm to get us kicked off. It's beautiful. It's like one balloon just rises up. So I'll start. It's probably easier if we go individually. So I'll start with Zach. How have the last few years been, like the pandemic season? You know, on the band, on yourself, etc. How did you have the last few years been?
It's been all right because it came at a kind of good time in terms of the band, because it kind of let us, because before the pandemic we were just playing Essex pretty much, just Essex shows like Chelmsford, Colchester, Southend, Basildon. That was pretty much it. But once it hit and we were just obviously couldn't do shows, couldn't go to shows, couldn't do anything, it kind of gave us a kind of decent amount of time to sit back and look at kind of where we want to go as a band in terms of sound, in terms of the shows we want to be playing, stuff like that. And from that was the writing sessions for the last EP, The Fatal Flaws of Humankind, which was like a night and day kind of step up from what we were doing before, because before that we were like shit. And
Sell the product, Zach.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no hiding it. We were obviously we were like so young as well, so it's fine. But yeah, it did kind of let us have that time to reflect on what we wanted to do and really think about it. And obviously we released the EP in lockdown, which was very, very weird because we just released all these new songs, couldn't play them because there was no shows. So by the time we started playing the songs, like when lockdown kind of eased up, we were already kind of sick of hearing them because they'd been out for so long. So then we just started kind of writing for the next stuff. But I think overall, obviously, the pandemic was horrific and a terrible thing in general. But just in terms of having the time to do that was a positive thing as a band.
Nice. Niall?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. 100%. Especially with a bit about our band being shocking before. Oh my really bad. But like, yeah, we were young, and then we took the break. We took the pandemic time to just work on our music. I think at some point we were meeting up like multiple times a week, like constantly, all driving out, getting it working. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great time for the band actually to work, improve. It's paid off well, I think.
Wonderful. How about for you personally? How was the last couple of years?
Oh, a lot less good. A lot less good. I don't know what it is. Just like, I think the struggle of having to be at home, all these things, new challenges and stuff. Some people reacted to it better than others, but
yeah,
that's what the music's for, you know. Like we just focus on that, keep positive. Yeah, it's all good.
Absolutely
awesome. Jude.
I mean, sort of echoing what Zach and Niall said. It's kind of been wild the last few years. It kind of feels like in a weird way it hasn't happened, because it was already like 3 years ago, and it's just like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
But you know, at times it was nice because we had that time to just sit back and just write riffs, and I was on furlough from my job, so we were just like, well, we haven't got anything else to do, let's just write an EP, because why not? But then there was other times where it just felt like that, that scene from Wallace and Gromit where like he's on the train and he's constantly like laying out the tracks like just in front of the train. It kind of felt like that. But it's been a bit of an interesting time the last few years. But I think we're it's been good. It's been good and bad, but I think we're more going to the good now.
Definitely. Yeah.
Never thought I'd hear a Wallace and Gromit reference like that. Superb. Yeah, amazing. But you're absolutely right, though. It does not feel like it's 3 years ago almost. It's crazy. I was saying this to the wife from on the way home from somewhere the other day. Like, to think at one point, none of this was open. Like, all we're just stuck in the house doing nothing. It's crazy. But a question I like to ask all of our guests, although it feels weird asking you guys this because you're already quite young still. What did you want to be when you were growing up? Was it always music for you, or was it something completely different? An astronaut? I don't know. Niall, what about you?
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny. It's funny you asked that because I was literally having this conversation with Zach like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think we were saying like we both decided so young that like there's nothing we're quite as good at and we enjoy at the same time as music. So we kind of like narrowed our choices very early. Just took a weird career path into being a musician. Yeah.
Well,
I literally had this conversation yesterday. Like, what were you saying about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like before I started doing music, because I started properly doing music. Was it like actually playing an instrument when I was like 12, I think. And it's like before that, there was nothing ever that like properly interested me. It is like something that I wanted to do. But then as soon as like I joined the band and stuff like that, as soon as it was started doing that, it was like, this is what I want to do. And that's literally the only thing where I felt like I actually just want to do it for the rest of my life. And I'd be like happy doing it.
That's amazing. What about you, Jude? I get the feeling you're going to go off left course and go, oh, I actually really want to be a rocket scientist.
Yeah, no. No, I suppose the revelation came to me when I was watching Wallace and Gromit. No, sorry. When I was growing up, I never was really involved in anything musical to any extent, really. I mean, my parents weren't really musical or like played anything. They played a lot of music though, and I suppose that sort of planted the seed in my head, which would later grow to sort of being a musician. But I suppose it wasn't until I was maybe 14 and I discovered Slipknot, and I was like, oh my god, bro, this is just the best shit ever, bro. And I bought a guitar because I actually remember thinking, it can't be that hard, like anyone can play this. Like, and I remember getting the guitar and I was just like, this is how clueless I was. I plugged it into the amp just straight, no pedals, no effects, anything. And I was like, man, why doesn't it sound like Slipknot, bro? Where's the heavy tone, bro? So, and then I just sort of kept at it, and from Slipknot, I sort of went on, like when I was in college, like a mate of mine like showed me Bury Tomorrow, and then I got into like metalcore, and then I just went on this whole journey. And I think the best thing you can do as a metalhead is just surround yourself with people who listen to all kinds of different stuff and all kinds of different metal, because, you know, I've discovered some amazing bands that I would never have really got into without like my bandmates, for example. And even recently, you know, I'm still constantly finding new music and constantly sort of finding these hidden gems that I think more people should know about. So yeah, I was sort of a bit late to the party, but then I just sort of realized in college, I used to want to be a paramedic because I did a lot of first aid like stuff as a kid, and my granddad was quite into like first aid and that kind of stuff. And then I was like, you know what, like it's not really what I want, it's just what people have sort of suggested that I should do. And I thought, well, what do I actually enjoy? And it was like, well, it's photography and music. And I was like, well, which is the more expensive hobby that will just grind me into dust mentally as the musician it is.
Now, which Slipknot album was it that you got?
Well, I remember seeing the YouTube video for Psychosocial, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I think I can't even remember what I first got into. I probably would have just started at the debut album and then just worked my way from there. But I was kind of into like Korn and Disturbed and all that kind of stuff beforehand, and a bit of Deftones, but Slipknot was like the first band I like properly like the first love, you know. And then I was just like, oh, I want to just like grow my hair really long and do all this kind of shit. So I suppose that was my sort of awakening to it.
I love that.
Nice.
obviously you say you were listening to Korn and Disturbed and all that stuff, but where did that love for metal music and music come from in general for you to discover those bands?
I think just from what I was played as a kid. I mean, my mum played a lot of like ABBA and Steps, but she also played like some more contemporary stuff. My dad was very much like AC/DC, Metallica type thing. And like one of the earliest things I remember is just like waking up as like a really small kid and just going into my dad's like office, and he was listening to like Black Sabbath, and he was like, "Oh, come and have a listen to this." And it's that same like filthy bass lines and like really nasty stuff that just kind of, I suppose that was like the prerequisite for getting into metal, because it's not really that much different. And me and Niall were talking about this yesterday, because Niall's a massive drum and bass fan, and we were saying like there's quite a lot of parallels between that and metal, where immersing yourself in just sort of riding that wave. So yeah, I suppose, you know, it came from a few different places, but I suppose I never went for a scene phase or anything. It was just straight from like Skrillex into Slipknot. It was, you know, but we won't talk about that phase.
Nothing wrong with that phase. Nothing wrong with that phase. What about you, Zach? Where did that love for music and metal especially come from?
For me, it was my dad as well, because my dad, he basically just listens to like 70s music. So it's a lot of like on the softer side of things, which I also like as well, but there's nothing to do with metal, like Bob Dylan, Neil Young, like that kind of stuff. But he would also listen to probably like the heaviest band that he like actually liked was AC/DC, and he'd seen them like a couple of times and stuff. So that was the first band that got me into just like rock, and that's like Angus Young was the reason why I got my first guitar when I was, I think, 11, and it was just kind of a steady progression, kind of going chronologically from, you know, the 70s and 80s onwards, and then eventually somehow found my way to like death metal and all that kind of underground stuff now, where it's at the point where kind of I'm listening to a lot of like very specific genres like noise grind or like the early 2000s American hardcore. So very kind of specialized now, but the way I got into it was a very kind of chronological, slowly getting heavier and heavier the more that my ears got adjusted to, you know, that that sound. But I think the tipping point into the more extreme side of things, which is basically all I listen to now, was Rain in Blood, because that I think I got that album when I was 14, and I still listen to it quite a lot because it's just a flawless album, and it just kind of tipped me over the edge into the world that is extreme music.
What I love when you talk to people who listen to like death metal and stuff like that is go, well, I started off here, it was quite normal, and then all of a sudden I just sort of fell into heavier stuff.
Yeah.
No one ever really knows how they got there. They just sort of fell into it.
Yeah, it just happens.
I had a single moment where it all happened, and it was like me and Jas were hanging out. He was like, "Oh, come to this show." I was like big into Red Hot Chili Peppers and all that, and it was like Asking Alexandria playing with like Parkway Drive headlining, and who was like Stick to Your Guns on the bill, someone else as well. Yeah, and that was my first metal show. I turn up with like the Red Hot Chili Peppers shirt, a cap. I walk out wearing it like a sash, just like limping out of the venue. From that moment on, it was just full metal, nothing else. Like,
that's amazing. That is awesome. But how did you fall into the world of rock and metal in general, Niall? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I guess like when I was, I don't know, maybe like 13, my mate was like, "Oh, do you want to be in a band?" I was like, "I don't play an instrument." It's like, "I play drums, it's easy." Turned out it was pretty easy as well. And like, yeah, then I started chilling with Jasper. He was like, "Man, check out the band Asking Alexandra." And then, yeah, slowly went through all that scene phase, listening to stuff I don't particularly listen to these days. It's getting heavier and heavier over time.
I love that. Play the drums, it's easy. He's fucking right, you know.
I just feel it, and it's all right. Not too bad.
Where does the name come from? I mean, anyone can take this one. Where does Beyond Extinction? Where's the actual name come from itself?
Well, we used to be called Force of Retribution, which was a pretty shit name. So we eventually decided that we needed to change it. And this was on our old like Snapchat group chat that we had. And we were just like bouncing ideas back and forth. I was on the toilet, and this lends proof to the theory that all good ideas come from there. Because then I just said like Beyond Extinction because I thought it sounded cool. I don't know where it came from. It just kind of popped into my head. And they were just like, yeah, that's cool. Let's go with that. And we did. So
This smell, lads. It's Beyond Extinction. And say, oh, that's a good fucking good name.
Then again, I suppose Force of Retribution doesn't look good in all the jaggedy, thorny type star writing, does it? That every deathcore death metal band needs. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if you guys, why do bands do that? Why do metal bands go, I need to make sure this is as unreadable as possible, right? It's like nobody knows what we're actually called, but it looks great because they go, well, at least I know they're deathcore or death metal or black metal.
I don't think
anyone knows, really.
The way I see it, it's like a branding thing. Like if I'm looking at a gig poster and I don't know any of the bands, but I see their logos and it's like that kind of style, I know that I probably will like them. It's the same with like hardcore bands always do the like old English font in their logos. It's like, okay, I'm probably going to like what this band are doing if their logo's like that. Whereas obviously if it's just a name, sometimes it's a little bit ambiguous and it's funny as well. Like,
and then along comes Party Cannon.
Yeah.
So where did you guys actually meet then? Have you known each other for years and years, or did you come together through the band? Or like, how did you guys meet?
Oh, it's been time actually. Like me and Zach and Jasper as well. We all went to the same school, and Jude's little brother was in my class. So we've all just had like connections for a long time. Actually, I think Jude and Zach had an even longer connection than that. You guys knew each other.
Yeah, that was mad, actually.
That was a coincidence.
Yeah, it's actually mad because Zach grew up in Southend and I grew up in Southend as well. And it wasn't actually until I was in the band and I went around Zach's house that I realised he actually lived legitimately one street away from me. Oh. So, and we just grew up like, and I occasionally went around his house and everything. And I just like, it was just like unlocking a memory when I went round. I was just like, oh my God.
That's awesome. So you knew each other and didn't even realise it, really. That's great.
Yeah, we'd like probably played together or like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then just forgot. And then just years later, just been like, what is the coincidence of that?
Yeah, it was mad. Because it was always like, because Leon, like Jude's brother is closer like to my age than Jude, so I'd always be like closer with him, and my older brother's closer to Jude's age, so it was like they were always like closer, so it was like kind of distant enough, and it was so long ago that I just like forgot. And then my brother told me, he was like, do you know who this is? And I was like, what do you mean, do I know who this is? He just joined my band. Yeah, I know who it is. It was like, no, do you know who this is? And he explained it. It was just like,
and he pulled up the police report.
So how do you go from being in school together and knowing each other's brothers and whatnot to suddenly going, we're in a band? But how does that come together?
We were like pretty much the only like metal fans in school, so it was kind of out of necessity. Like I think Niall and Jasper had been in the band before me. And I knew Niall through another guy called Niall who used to be in the band, which is where it gets confusing. But so I met him through that, and they just like asked me to come along to a practice. I started playing some like shitty thrash riffs, and they were like, "Whoa, let's do this, man."
Yeah, it was crazy at the time because Zach was literally like 14 years old, and like Jasper was like, I was a year above Zach. Jasper was a year above me, and he was like, who have you brought to this practice? Then we heard him play, and like that's the first time we're hearing like proper music. Like, I was listening to the guitar with like, I don't know, nothing like what Zach was doing, not that thrash stuff. Like we were just listening to Asking Alexandra. He was playing these like fast shredding riffs. It was crazy, man.
So no wonder Zach was saying you guys were shit when you first started, because he weren't there.
Yeah, they only got good once I joined. Yeah. No, we were still definitely shit for a long time after I joined.
How does like your writing process work then? Is it a case of, boys, check this out, this is this riff, I've got to lay it down, and then Jeff goes, okay, well, I'll write some notes over that, or has he got songs written already, or is it drums? Like, how does it actually, the actual process go when writing a track?
I suppose it's changed a bit over the years, because the way we used to do it when we were like teenagers was we just book a practice session out, and it would kind of be a practice and a rehearsal / a writing session. And we'd all be like, hey guys, we've got this really cool riff. We'll be playing it. And I'm like, oh my God, bro, it's so cool. And we just came up with like a song in like 4 hours. And we're like, yeah, we'll play it Friday. And that was kind of how we did it. And we just had all these absolutely dreadful songs that thankfully no one has heard because no one was at the shows. But the way we do it now is that we do actually, it's kind of a bit different. Like most of us live in London now, but I'm like the complete other end of London to Zach and Niall. So the way we do it right now is that we'll come up with a riff, or we'll come up with even like a whole song like individually, and then present it, and then go, okay, let's start up like a bank of ideas. Then we'll come together collaboratively at a later date and go, right, let's pick this song, let's see what we can do to it, let's kind of rewrite it, let's examine it. And I suppose the thing that's changed the most over the years is just our quality control. Our quality control these days is insanely high, because we are all into different things musically. So it's difficult to find that middle ground where we're all happy with like, yeah, this is like a cool like song. So when we kind of write something and everyone's like, yeah, that's quite cool, then we know that we're on something and we can kind of flesh it out a bit more. But we are quite strict with it, you know. If we're not onto a winner, we don't kind of entertain the idea of a song. So yeah, but we just kind of bounce it backwards and forwards collaboratively. The thing we learned with writing the new EP that's coming out soon is that we write best when we're together. And we write best when, you know, Niall and Zach will sit down and go, right, here's a song structure idea. And then Zach will come up with some riffs, and I'll come in and do some spooky shit in the background, and I'll track bass on it and do some extra riffs. And we start piecing it together. Jasper will do some vocals. So that's the kind of way we've been doing it. But as for the future, I'm not really sure, but I'm one thing that is for certain, we'll definitely still be doing it collaboratively, because that's just how we've found is the best way to get the sound we want to achieve.
Yeah.
But you've mentioned how like the stuff you wrote before will hopefully never see the light of day. So according to like your first EP that I found was Dune Strider. How long after forming did that come out then? How long had you been together before you released that?
When did that come out?
that came, the June Strider single came out in 2019. I joined the band in, I think, January of 2019, and we released it in late 2019. So I think that was a case where I brought in that song. It was just one of mine that I had like written before, and I was just like, hey guys, this is just a cool song. And their guys were like, yeah, it's not too shit, let's record it. And we just went into the recording studio with Matt, our producer, and we just, I think we recorded like 3 different songs, and it was basically just meant to be let's have a listen to these songs. Like it was the first time ever listening to like proper demos, proper like us playing and hearing it back in like some like of a professional way. And we recorded 3 tracks, and the June Strider performance that we did in the studio, we actually thought, you know what, that's good enough to like polish up a bit and just release as a single. So we did it that way for that one, but we've never done it like that before or after. So
it was quite an interesting release, that, because it was like, it definitely stands out in all our music. I think we've way changed our sound since then. Like, it's not even comparable now.
Yeah.
But like, when we did that, that was our first time probably recording in studio. And we also did it all like a live recording. So rather than tracking the drums and then tracking guitars and layering them on top, we just did it all in one and then did vocals after. So I feel like that was like a big point in us learning the whole studio side of everything that's happened since. Yeah, so all these stuff, if we're not happy with it now, like they've played a big part in what we've ended up as. So part of the journey for sure.
So you're always learning. That's the thing. You're always learning and seeing how things work. But obviously, we've spoken to you guys about how the music works. I know he's not here, but when it comes to Jasper and his lyrics, do you know where he gets his inspiration for his lyrics? Is it just something he makes off the top of his head, or are they quite personal to him?
Loads of weed. That's it.
Yeah, and he studied politics, so he's full of hatred.
Oh, weed and politics, yeah, perfect for a death metal lyricist, right there. That's all you need. Yeah. He's going to listen back to this and be, you bastards.
I mean,
go on, Zach.
Sorry, it's from like, because he just does the lyrics by himself, to be honest, because obviously he doesn't play an instrument, so we do the instrumentals, and he just does like almost all of the lyrics himself. I think now, like especially with the new EP, he because he spoke to us about like his thought process in terms of lyrics and stuff, and he's a very like conceptual writer now. So when we think of what we're doing, like an EP or an album or whatever, he'll first kind of think of a whole concept or a whole theme or whatever it is for the release, then work out different ways to approach it for each song, and then kind of write the lyrics from there. And a lot of the actual, like the writing of the actual lyrics themselves, like the specific words he uses, a lot of it is just down to writing like the coolest sounding lines that have the most impact. And it's like, it's a good way of writing, because it just means kind of when you read the lyrics, it's like very kind of impactful, because every line kind of means something and sounds sick.
I felt that with Apex Predator.
Yes, like
just with actual Apex Predator was fuck when the breakdown kicks in, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's filthy.
Yeah, it's like sometimes like you kind of come up with a good line or a good song title, and then you're like, all right, shit, I've got to write some like lyrics that mean something based on this line, because it just sounds so cool.
I love that. My favorite thing in heavy music these days is like, I always wonder when a vocalist knows just when the right part of the song is it good to just go bleh. Because it just there's one every song, guaranteed. So looking at your releases, the upcoming EP is your second EP, is that right?
Yeah. Technically,
yeah.
Is our third, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, it's our second.
Oh, I feel like there's a story here now. Come on.
That was well before Jude and everything.
Yeah.
Actually, now I think about it, that was our first actual time recording. But this was like, we were like, me and Zach must have been like 15, 16 at the time. So it was that level of skill and everything involved. The producer who did it did like the best he could, but he was working with like amateurs.
Yeah.
So we kind of took it off, and that's part of the journey, but no one needs to hear that. No one needs to hear that.
Yeah. That's staying locked up in the vault.
Embarrassment is essential to growth.
I like it.
As podcasters, we can agree with that when you listen back to some of our earlier stuff. So we get it. But is there a reason why you've done it this way? We're doing EPs and singles instead of going for a full album?
Money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Money. I also think up until this point that we're at now, we've been on such a journey of like trying to nail down a kind of sound that we're like truly happy with. Like we've done like the Fatal Flaws was much more based on what we're listening to at the time, some of our outside influences. There's a bit of deathcore in there, there's a bit of death metal, there's a bit of thrash, and with the new EP, it was more sort of, let's just not think about the genre. Let's not think about anything other than creating a fat riff, and we just wrote it. It wasn't really something we had a talk before we started writing about what we kind of wanted. And it's good to kind of lay down that sort of framework. But other than that, we just sort of let loose on what was inside, really.
I think we did have like a big period of reflection after Fatal Flaws, where we like really analysed, because that was like around like lockdown and COVID and all that, where we were thinking a lot about the band and moving forward. And we just sort of thought like, what do we enjoy doing? What do we do well? Like, what could we do better? And then we just like, when we did this like recent one, the Nothing More Wretched, oh man, it just all came together and it was like, yeah, I think this is the sound for us. There'll be changes again down the line, but this is us. Like,
I think the thing is as well, like if you're in a period where you're kind of uncertain about what you want your sound to be and you're still experimenting and trying to find it, if you do a full length, that's a really big commitment to whatever the sound is at the time. So if you're still kind of between two sounds and you've not really found your kind of identity as a band, it can be kind of damaging because it can make listeners think that that's your sound when in reality that's not really what you want to do. So then for your next release, it'll be different. Some people might not like it. I think an EP is a really good kind of length of time to experiment with sounds and stuff, and because it's not enough to really cement that as who you are as a band. So you can do two very different sounding EPs like we've done. You know, the Fatal Flaws and Nothing More Wretched are very different sonically, but because they're both EPs and not like, 40 minutes worth of music each, it's a lot easier to kind of make that transition and not turn people away.
Plus, I think this sort of day and age now as well, a lot of people want it now. So when me and Jamie were growing up, it was like you had to wait 2-3 years for albums and stuff. But now you've got Spotify and you've got all the on-demand sort of stuff and everything. It's like, cool, that was great. What's next? Cool, that was great. What's next? Yeah. So I think doing it as like single and EP releasing rather than a full length is actually quite a genius idea as well, because everyone's like, that was great. What have you got coming out now?
Yeah, it's definitely the industry is definitely now very centered around singles, which I'm not a massive fan of singles. Like usually if like standalone singles, obviously if it's not part of a release, then whatever. But usually nowadays bands will release like, say it's an 8-track album, they release like 4 or 5 as singles. And it's like, for me on a personal listening level, I don't like that because it means I've already heard over half the album. Yeah. So when I'm listening through it on release day, it's not fresh. So most of the time I'll just ignore the singles, wait for the album to drop. But we're all kind of slaves to the Spotify algorithm, and the Spotify algorithm really likes singles. So you got to kind of play the game a little bit.
I agree with that, because I often find you listen to an album and the singles that you've already heard end up being your favourite songs because you're just so familiar with them already. Yeah. Really, they're probably not the best song on there just because you already know them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. So let's talk about the new EP, Nothing More Wretched. How excited are you for your fans to hear this for a start?
Very excited.
Yeah.
It's sorry, go on.
I was going to say, because you've all sound so proud of what you've achieved with this EP.
Yeah, I'd say we are. I mean, it's a big achievement for us. I suppose on a personal level and on a sort of level with the music as well, because we went through. I think the EP it's a statement on the change that we've all had as people and musicians in the band. And how the band's changed as well over the last few years, post, the Fatal Flaws and all that kind of stuff, getting more familiar with touring, like massively expanding our horizons of like what we listen to and what we appreciate. And I think it's a good sort of statement piece on, okay, this is us. This is this is everything that we've absorbed from what we've been doing over the last few years, sort of, put on a baking tray, put into the oven for however long and, served fresh.
You're speaking really poetically today, man.
I don't know what it is. We just come back from tour. My brain's absolutely scrambled, so God knows where this is coming from. But you know, yeah, exactly. It's either Wallace and Gromit or poetry today, so just take your pick. I can do both.
Please. If we're taking a pick, like.
What about you, Niall? How excited are you for people to listen to this?
The thing is, like, with the music we're writing, like, it all gives me the feeling that I love when I listen to other people's music. Like, you know, when a breakdown is just like, oh, it makes you want to like curl up inside. Like, I still get that feeling playing the songs today. Like that I'm just so excited to share that, you know.
That's awesome. And you, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same. Like, we've been sitting on these songs for a long time, like well over a year now that they've been written, I think, or at least we've been playing most of them for like ages as well. So being able to have it reach so many more people through actually having released it is just great, because I mean the reception to the two singles has been really good so far, and I think it's a very good kind of sign of what's to come in terms of the EP. And I think it's just on a personal level as a musician, the first time I can look back at a release of it, like more than one song, and just be completely happy with it and be like, I'm proud of that. And in 5 years' time, I don't think I'm going to be terribly ashamed about the quality of this outfit. Like, I think it's the first time that I think personally what I've contributed to is going to age well and is actually good, basically.
You've had quite the meteoric rise in your short stint as a band together, haven't you? I mean, you played Bloodstock New Stage, you've shared the stage with Red Method, you've shared the stage with Our Hollow, Our Home, Cancer Bats, etc. Like, it must be a really crazy feeling to now drop in this new EP coming in March, to have done so much already in such a short space of time.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, but I feel like with all of us, we're always just like keep looking forwards, like what's next, you know. That's just the way we've always looked at it. Yeah. Every now and then we'll just be like, oh, do you remember when we played Bloodstock? But all these moments, like with Bloodstock or like the Cancer Bats show and everything, like you'll spend weeks and weeks building up, like getting excited, practicing your parts, and then for like 30 minutes on stage, it goes just like that. So you're just always looking at what's next, you know.
I think it's really hard when you're kind of in the band to see, like, to gauge how big you are as a band, because, you know, it's just like, to me, these are just like three guys that I've known for like 6 or 7 years, and I've seen them at their absolute lowest, and I've, you know, so I just see them, they're just my friends. I'm just playing music with my friends. And it's very weird to think that, you know, this dumb heavy music that we're making, other people enjoy it and other people want to listen to it and come see us. So it's at least for me personally, it's really weird to think of ourselves as a band that, you know, other people actually like pay attention to, but it is mad.
But they are, though. Like Tom said, you've had this amazing rise throughout. Like, your Spotify streams are flying up there. Like, it's amazing work. But when you put these new singles out, the people that have been following you since the beginning, what was the feedback like from them? And have you had new people go, I've just found this track and you guys are fucking great?
That's the best thing, honestly, is like, because when we released the 2 videos on Slam Worldwide, I'd just be like refreshing it, looking at all the new comments, and there was just loads of people saying like, first time ever hearing this band, like, you've got yourself a new fan, stuff like that. People leaving like sick comments, and it's like, it's crazy to see people saying that about, you know, music we just kind of wrote around each other's houses and in our bedrooms and stuff. But it's really cool to see it, because when you obviously as a musician, you put so much of yourself into the music that you make, and getting like a really positive response from it, from the people that have obviously been following us since 2017, 18, there are a few of them, and new people discovering us as well. Like, it's just amazing to see it.
It's difficult sometimes to appreciate when you're in the band doing stuff all the time, just sort of what you've achieved and everything. And I think sometimes it's difficult to not be too hard on yourself and go, okay, well, you know, we've done some cool stuff, but there's no reason to get like complacent. Let's just keep pushing and keep pushing. And I think obviously that is the attitude that we all have, but at the same time, it's important to go, you know what, we actually just did a really good tour. You know, people are really enjoying the songs. Because it's difficult to like exactly what Niall said. Like, it's kind of crazy. We sometimes go, yeah, we play Bloodstock, because that was just a little drop in the ocean of like everything that we do in the band. I mean, it's every single day. We just do stuff every single day and just constantly talking about things and constantly grinding and, you know, paying for stuff, and, you know, it never really stops. So to sort of have these moments where actually it is all worth it, it's just fantastic. And to everyone who, you know, comes out to shows or listens to us, like, we're just so grateful, because it just makes everything so worth it.
Everyone's always so hard on themselves, though. We're hard on ourselves when we do stuff like this all the time. I think everybody's their own worst critic every time.
Yeah.
But what I would say to you, Zach, is obviously don't get too immersed in the comments, like, because obviously there are going to be some wankers out there that are they're keyboard warriors. Yeah,
there's always a couple. I when I see people, like, there was one comment that just made me laugh on the Eyes of God video, and he was like, so shout out to this guy if he's listening, but he's probably not. But he just said, like, this song was amazing, really refreshing new death metal up until the final breakdown. Stop trying to copy Lorna Shore. And that was it. And I was like, that was really cool until you said that last bit.
What?
Yeah, I mean, Lorna, I mean, I don't even listen to Lorna Shore. So, and I wrote the breakdown. So
there was another great one on YouTube a little while ago, which was sing, don't scream. You sound like everyone else. Just thought it was quite funny.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. People baffle me sometimes. Yeah. Absolutely. Like,
we find it
okay,
funny.
Good. That's good. It's like, here's my address. Here's a guitar. Crack on. Go on. If you're so fucking, you know, if you obviously know what you're talking about, have a bash. Come on. Obviously, write a better breakdown than me. Go for it.
Yeah.
How was tour? That was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We played with this last one we just played with Winter Hotel, and they're a lot of fun to be around. Just got good experiences. I don't think there was a single bad moment, to be honest. Like, lovely when that happens.
Yeah. I mean, as well, like last night as well, was with Turbaya Tyrant, and I think we have played with them before, but we couldn't see him at Derby Altfest. So then actually being able to see him this time was sick, because I didn't know what to expect, and they just like blew me away.
Good.
And like Winter Hotel as well, they're so sick, and it's like, it's so cool just, you know, being able to, you know, go to a show, play a sick set, have people enjoy it, and then you get to watch these like new mates you've just made, like doing a fucking sick show as well. You know, it's such a good way to discover new bands. Obviously, making friends with the other band, because we've never been on a tour where we haven't made friends with the other band and continue to do shows with them or just be friends with them in general. And you know, always going to each other's shows, even like months after the tour, like Human Hell, you know, they still come to our shows even though they're not a band anymore, and they're still just like very supportive of us just because of that one tour where they didn't know us beforehand. They just took a chance on us. And that kind of thing is just such a good way of doing things, I think.
That's awesome. And like you say, that's the best way to do it, because if ever a band's in a tight spot, they're like, shit, we need a band to fill in. You're in. They know they can rely on you. They know you're good. They know you bring a crowd. There you go. And it just builds more opportunities for you. And yeah. It's amazing. I love that. But speaking of touring and playing, like, are there any particular songs on this EP that you're looking forward to people hearing, whether that be on Spotify or whatever, or live, like you can't wait to play them live?
All of them for different reasons, really. I mean, I suppose with this EP, every single song, there's one section at least where we're all just like, yeah, this is the section. This is, this is the shit, There's the single we're about to release this month, which is the title track of the EP. There's pretty much the whole back half of the song is just one riff, with different like grooves, and it's just so much fun to play live because you just get to, first of all, for me, playing the riff and feeling like Niall's like double kick just go through me when I'm just playing this riff. I'm just like, oh, it's so good. And then just seeing people like respond in the audience, it's like, yes, this is exactly what we wanted when we wrote this song. And I remember me and Zach writing the end of this song, and we must have played it about 6 or 7 times, just over and over. Just, shall we play it one more time? Yeah, let's play it one more time.
Yeah.
And but it's funny because we've been playing these songs for a while. We figured out like, okay, there's bits from this song that everyone always responds to. There's that breakdown, like people go like wild for. So hopefully we're going to see the same thing when all the songs come out. But I think I speak for the guys here when I just say that we're just excited for everyone to just hear it all together as one package.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. And speaking of the package as well, the artwork on the EP is fantastic. Who did that?
Evan LaBelle from Human Hell, who I was like, that's what I was saying. Like we made connections from that tour with him, and he did the artwork for the EP, and it is insane. Like
he did such a good job.
Well. It's crazy good. Like I remember when we first got it back, I was just looking at it and I was like, man, that is just so sick. Like, how is that going to be the artwork for our EP? Like being able to have that art attached to music that is like that I've contributed to, like, that's just crazy. Because it's, Evan, if you're listening, you smashed it, mate.
You really did. It was the first thing I saw when we were reading through like the pack and everything and checking out. I was like, fuck me, that artwork's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. But before we start wrapping up, guys, if there's anyone listening to this who, they like the sound of Beyond Extinction, they like the cut of your jib, as we like to say, is there any particular track or two from your guys' back catalogue that you would encourage people to go check out to get a feel of what you do? It's like asking someone to pick a favourite child. Yeah.
Of stuff that's released now, I would have to say Gravedigger, just because that song just, I love it. Like it never gets old playing it, never gets old listening to it. Like I think it's like the best song that we've released, to be honest.
I think it just hits a bit different from the others as well. Like they all hit hard in a different way, but that one is like on its own.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. You've got to listen to it.
It's got that something, hasn't it?
It fits the brief of writing it and listening to it, being like, okay, we want to write a song that's like the equivalent of being hit in the head with like a frying pan. Like that's where we're at. And I think Gravedigger really delivers that, because you hear that intro and then it goes quiet and then it's just bang, the frying pan hits. And the last thing you remember is just the word Teflon, and then you're just out.
That needs to be said on stage now. This is our next song. It's like being hit with a frying pan.
We'll get Jasper to say that.
I just want to go back to obviously when you did Fatal Flaws during the pandemic, like being in the studio, because I watched the video. Was that really weird? Is it kind of a different vibe, obviously, because you have to be in the room individually and that sort of thing? You had to wear masks all the time, I saw as well. So obviously, compared to when you did the new EP, that must have been quite a weird experience.
Yeah, it was slightly strange. It's difficult as it is to communicate in the studio sometimes with all the thick glass and everything. So
yeah,
trying to communicate in sort of wild hand gestures to Matt. Because you can't hear you through the mask, just like, how does he communicate you're not in tune, you dickhead, through the glass? It's difficult. But no, in all seriousness, it was hard. I remember because I was handling the demos for it at that point, I went to all of the recording sessions just as like the quality control person, and just to make sure that everything was like going smoothly. So it was weird because usually we'd all be in the studio, or a lot of us would be in the studio and checking out bits and that. But it was difficult. Like with the Fatal Flaws, we hadn't recorded a proper EP at that point. So being in the studio like over a certain number of days instead of just having one day where we just do instrument by instrument was difficult as it was, and it was interesting. But yeah, it was a strange time, and we were glad when we went into the studio to record Nothing More Wretched, because it was just like, it's nice to get back to normal,
I also saw that somebody drank a whole 6-pack of J2O. Who was that?
Me.
First of all, what flavour?
Apple and mango.
Oh, excellent choice. Did you not feel what all 6 in one go, or was it over a period of time?
I mean, you're slaving over the guitar. I mean, what can I say? It gets hot. You got to keep your hydration levels up, and it just helps. Just a couple of bottles just to sharpen the mind. For the riffs at hand. So everyone thinks it's strange behaviour, but you got to do what you got to do to squeeze the riffs out.
Because I thought they would have been you now, to be quite honest with you, with your, thrusting yourself around everywhere, smashing anything that's in sight.
And you know what? I got a much unhealthier habit of banging like energy drinks. Like if I was on J2O, I'd be much better off for it.
That probably helps, doesn't it? Especially with the double kick pedal, and everything else you got going on. I
No,
suppose
it
a Monster or Relentless is, gets you right going.
It helps, but then every now and then I'll just feel like, man, that's not healthy what I just drank. Like I can see all the cans like building up in the corner of my room. Not good. Can't be, surely.
My piss is a luminous green. This can't be right.
It's got to be the energy, surely.
What's your beverage of choice, Zach? What's a beverage of choice when playing, recording, or at shows?
I am the same. I am a fiend for a Monster. Like at shows, I don't drink before I play because I'm a massive lightweight. So yeah, so I'll save my drinking for after the show. But before that, it will just be energy drinks and fags. That's all day.
I'm too scared to drink generally before a show, because knowing my luck, I'll be halfway through a set, like, I really need to piss. I really need to piss.
Yeah,
I literally did that last night at the show. We were 10 minutes. Like, so I think I ate something dodgy earlier in the day as well, because we were right. I'll tell you what, it was a Spoon's breakfast that done me in, to be fair.
Well, I fucking told you. I told you.
I know. It was delicious, all right? I paid the price, but it was delicious. But yeah, it was 10 minutes until we were on, and I just turned to Jasper and I was like, man, I need a toilet like I've never needed a toilet before. And he was like, fucking hurry up then. I was just like, okay, I'm all ready. I'll just be a second. And oh my God, I felt I was basically played last night, like trying not to throw up. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Playing it all at times 10. Just smash through it, lads. Just fucking get through it.
No, I was like, fuck, I can't keep up.
A question I like to ask every band that we speak to. I know I think I only found the one, but music video wise, and this is making them not the finished product. Love them or hate them?
Love it. It's so fun.
Love it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the music videos we've done in the past have just been the usual metal trope of a couple of lads performing in some sort of variety of shithole building, or scene where it's all like grungy and but I had a bit of a different experience, because myself and a good friend of mine, Dylan, we decided for Gravedigger to do something different, where we'd never done it before. We just had this idea that we came up with for the music video, and we just planned it for hours and hours and hours. And we just decided that we were going to do this music video with no budget. I mean, legitimately no budget. I mean, we had like a bag of crisps for some extras that turned up, and that was it pretty much. And the rest of it was just getting up at like 5:30 in the morning to film at sunrise down Southend seafront, or, you know, going to this location to just film at night, or yeah. I mean, my mate Dylan literally got like hosed down in the garden for the music video where it was like freezing. And we just filmed it over a period of about 6 months, and I edited it and put it together, and he did all like the color grading and stuff. So it's basically just me and him doing this music video, and it actually turned out pretty well. So that was a kind of, because I just wanted a first music video for us that wasn't just us performing, or something extra, or something different. I think the story of the EP was so good that we couldn't not put it into a music video somehow.
Nice. Absolutely. I mean, did you ever get any people walking by going, "The fuck is he? What's going on?"
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had that when it was kind of suspicious, because there was me filming him, and for the music video, he grew his hair and beard out like really long. So it was just this guy who looked like he was on drugs, carrying this massive shovel round, with this guy filming him with it like in this trench coat. And just, yeah, it must have looked really suspicious. We did get quite a lot of funny looks when we recorded the actual like performance part of it, because we did it in Shoebury-Ness, in Southend in Essex, and it's in this old like artillery, I don't know what you'd call it, where they put the artillery gun, back from when it was like an active like World War II base. So we just kind of, what?
It looks like a fort, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like a ring type thing, but like it goes down quite a bit. And we just filmed it in that, and there's like a public footpath like either side of it. And so there was all of us like in there, like just headbanging and like going absolutely crazy. Niall smashing the shit out of the drums, you could hear it for miles. And there's just this elderly couple just like, what the hell? Like just walking past like with their little Jack Russell, and just seeing these guys, like it must have been strange.
It must have been so funny as well, because like you couldn't hear any instruments other than the drums. Like they were obviously just like miming. They must have looked like idiots just jumping around like air guitar.
Phenomenal. I love it. What I was going to say, guys, this has been so much fun. Tom, have you got any more questions before we start wrapping up?
I do. I have two more. Is that okay?
Go for it. Sorry.
Well, one's not meant to the question, but you've got a show on the 16th at Blondie's. Is that correct? That's sold out in less than a week. Is that correct?
Not quite.
New Cross.
Yeah.
It's where?
Is this the upcoming show or the one we did?
The upcoming one. I got February 16th.
No. That's
Have I been misled? I will go back to. I tell you what, Noise Cartel, I'm coming for you.
Yeah. We did Blondie's. It was last month. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's it for January, I think.
It's all right.
They put February in the press list. I'm gonna, let's not take this apart. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, it's not let me get away with this.
That's fine. What we'll do is we'll just ignore that completely. And when obviously the band began, when you decided to, when you started out, was it Force of Retribution that you recorded originally?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that by this point now here in 2023 that you would have played Bloodstock, played with Cancer Bats, have to, an EP coming out, etc., and have the fan base that you do?
No.
I never even thought about it. It's like if someone, like, I remember the first point we kind of like had that thought was, man, I can't remember what the release was, but we got like a figure on Spotify saying, hey, someone's listening to your song in the USA. And like, in LA or something. Oh no, it was a video that came up on YouTube. Someone was banging it in the gym, like playing it through the public speakers.
Yeah.
And we were like, if someone said to us when we started the band, that is going to be the peak of your career, I would have taken that. I'd have been like, hell yeah, someone in LA playing our music.
Yeah.
Incredible. What's next for you guys? What's that you can talk about? Obviously, then the EP's that's the 17th of March. But what's the 2023 plan? What's it looking like?
I think the next big thing, other than we've got another single, but kind of the big thing we're looking forward to right now is the release tour, which is in March. So like 16th to the 18th, then 24th to the 23rd to the 25th, something like that. So those 2 weeks. And that's going to be really fun because it's, thankfully for me, we're playing a hometown show in Southend on my 20th birthday. So I'm planning on getting absolutely fucked up for that.
And it'll cost you absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
2 drinks done.
I'd say a Smirnoff Ice and easily anybody's. I've just clicked on the fact you said it on your 20th birthday. The fact you're 19 and you've achieved all this is insane to me.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
It's amazing. But that goes to show how much more you guys can achieve because you're still so young. You've got this great fan base already. The sky's the limit, guys. Sky's the limit.
We're not slowing down at any time. We're just going to constantly be on it. I think this year, you know, I feel like we're going to get a good reception for the EP. I feel like people are going to enjoy it, and it's going to kind of spur us on to go further. I mean, we're already looking at writing new material, and we're already getting some ideas together. So who knows what's going to come out of this year, and who knows especially what's going to come out of next year once we've, you know, potentially got new music together and got new ideas and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very excited, and, you know, it's just, you know, let's see how far we can push this.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys. I think you're going to just take off and fly, just run with it. Fucking, dude, like you say, just don't slow down. Just keep going. Because who knows? Yeah. Who fucking knows what could happen 5-10 years down the line? So, you know, I think you'll be up there, the big boys headlining Bloodstock and whatnot in about 5-10 years or so.
I hope so, man.
That will
I really hope so.
Yeah, it's coming. We'll talk again in 5 years' time, and
that'll be too big for us then. Before we let you guys get out of here, have you got any plugs, social medias, websites, whatever it is you want people to go check out?
I mean, all tickets and everything is on our website. Nice and a professional looking website as well. It's beyondextinctionuk.com. But all our stuff's on there. So tickets and emails and shit like that, it's all there.
Yeah, I mean, follow us on social media because we're always coming out with new content and sort of new show announcements and, you know, all that good stuff. So just, you know, keep your eyes peeled because you never know what we might be coming out with.
Phenomenal.
Wonderful. Boys, this has been great. Really, really enjoyed this very, very much. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know now you're not even at home, so appreciate that. Appreciate that massively. Boys, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, man.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boys, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for taking the time out. All the best with the EP release in March. We'll be shouting about it on the show.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. It's been fun.
Appreciate it, guys.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take care. See you later.
Cheers. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely phenomenal. Like, these guys are so inspirational. As I said, the fact they're doing what they're doing at so young is absolutely amazing. And the pride they have in their music, I love this. If you're out there and you are a creator, no matter what you do, have pride in what you do. Shout it from the fucking rooftops because people will listen and you will get that following you deserve. Yeah, amazing. Absolutely love this one.
I just agreed. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We absolutely love talking to you. And thank you, massive thank you to Jasmine again at the Noise Cartel. And we really hope that you guys enjoy listening to it as much as we did recording it.